So now now your fork tube is out. Now you have to remove your spacers and the actual fork seal itself. Remember which order these come in, because it is important. And these things just slide right off. And this is the old fork seal. So take your new fork seal and you're ready to install it. Also, there is an orientation also of the seal. You can also reference to the old one how it came out. So it came out this side down. I'll be installing it the same way here. Now before you do that, I want to note that the top of these fork tubes here have a very, very sharp surface, especially right here. I can feel it. It can chew up the seal pretty badly, so you want to protect it as much as you can. So what I would advise is grease up the seal with just regular bearing grease. Don't worry if you put too much. Now that's done, we'll set it aside. And here's another trick. Get a regular sandwich bag, put it over your fork tube. Now you have a relatively smooth surface. Grease it up real well. Now your fork seal can slide over it relatively easily without damaging it. There you have it. And then put all the spacers back in. Feel free to wipe off any excess garbage that accumulated inside. Now you're ready for the next step. So now slide the fork seal all the way down. We're first going to pound this part of it in. So we're going to partially reassemble this. Flip it upside down. Now take your fork seal driver. Take your fork seal driver. Now this one is a homemade one. I just made it out of PVC piping. So with your fork seal still on the bottom, we're going to pound in the spacers. So I'll show you how this works actually. This is pretty simple. Now obviously you're not going to get PVC piping to wrap around your tube perfectly, so what I did was I cut these slits here so then they can conform better around the tube. So one goes in here like so, and the other one in. And then just pound it in until it won't go in anymore. And then push your fork seal down and do the same thing with your driver. And all you have to do is pound it in until you can see the groove for your retainer clip. And that's pretty much it. Some seals are a little bit more stubborn, so it requires a bit more pounding. This one was pretty simple. So we're on ready to go on to the next step. So the next step is just to put the retainer clip back in. And your dust seal. Now I should also mention that if your bike is relatively old, you should change the dust seal also. My bike isn't all too old. I'm going to reuse my old dust seal. However, the dust seal is pretty simple as well. You know, take it out along with the fork seal. So with that done, we're ready to go on to the next step, which is putting everything back together, putting the oil back in. So now with the fork fully compressed, no spring or spacer inside just yet, we can go ahead and fill it up with fork oil. My forks call for about 500 milliliters, give or take. And then, yeah, anyway, we'll start filling. I'll go on to the next step, measuring the fluid level later on. So just pour it in. So that's roughly 500 milliliters in there. And then take your damper rod, pump it a little bit until you see oil coming out. There will be a little bit of air bubbles in there. It will take a couple of pumps to get rid of all of the air bubbles. And that's pretty much it, until you don't see any air bubbles come out. Now to measure the fluid level. My manual states the fluid level should be 92 millimeters from the top of the outer shaft down to the fluid level. And yes, that is about right. I'm sorry if the camera can't pick it up, but it's just touching the bottom of the fluid level, and that's correct. Now to drop your spring back in. And your preload spacer. Dropped in a little bit too fast there. Okay. And now you're ready to recompress the spring and reinstall the top cap. So now that I have the forks, the spring recompressed with my ratchet straps, I have to use a pair of pliers to reach inside and get the damper tube. And then reinstall like so. Tighten it up. and release the spring tension. And now you're ready to reassemble everything back together. Take your spring compressor out. Pull the fork tube back up. And reassemble everything. And there you have it. That is a fork seal change on inverted shocks. All you have to do now is to reinstall it back on your bike, clamp down your triples, and tighten your top cap. And don't forget, after you finish this service, there's another fork waiting for you. So don't pack away your tools just yet. Now normally, this is a fairly simple service, just pretty messy, as you can see all the oil leaking everywhere. It would probably take me about 20 to 30 minutes if I wasn't filming. But overall, a very simple service. Anyone can do. Much better than doing valve adjustments. So if you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my channel. I will be posting more motorcycle maintenance videos later on in the future.